All right, everybody. Let's begin first of 3 workshops. Y'all are getting some keys. This is what we call filling in the void of time. So feel free to grab stuff. Grab a journal if you want to scribble notes. Use your phone. Tappy tap. Tappy tappy tap. Playing with microphones at the moment, so forgive me. Woo, Martín! I just have to switch some mics around, Michael. It's okay. So just use this one all hard. How's everybody feeling? Anybody want to share some of the experiences they had? Please start getting in closer too. I want everybody around close. I like speaking to emptiness. On that, get some. Anything? How was your breathwork session, Anthony?
I came in late, but I got my back, so I was pretty happy.
You got back right now. All right, good. Got some healers. Adam, how was your breathing session?
I loved it. Really good.
It was good? What you needed? I know, we're all vibing out right now. Yeah. How about you? You came in. Came a little bit. What'd you come for your breath work? Just a little bit? Just a little bit? That's good? Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So let's get to it. We are running a little behind. I want to make sure you all can take advantage of the workshop stuff on the creative side. We've got Katie and Megan. Megan's going to be good. Katie just came in. Katie will be teaching y'all drawing and everything. She's got some stuff. We're some phenomenal artists here today. So make sure you check out all of their work, learn about what they're doing. See, man, take some of the stuff they got. Yeah, they got some beautiful art here, incredible stuff, and see where they're going to be popping up later. So we're grateful to have them. We also have Thought Fams out there doing some live art as well. So when y'all shift into song mode, let me see what he's working on. I have yet to see it. But today, now we're going to talk a little about the mechanics of dreams, what's going on in your dreams, maybe how to utilize your dreams in a powerful way, meaningful way. So excited to introduce Michael here with psychoanalyst, but he can tell you the story a lot better than I can. So we're going to start there. Once we kind of hit this, I'm going to teach y'all the mechanics of lucid dreaming. So if you're not here, that's on you. Y'all come here and learn this stuff. And I know people are running around now, I get it, but let's talk about dreams in a meaningful and deep way, and then we'll translate it into y'all's creative work here. So please, everybody give it up to Mike.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Let me just kind of get everybody that's here right now, kind of your general illness, or like what your present relationship is with your dreams. I mean, how many of you dream regularly? Like once a week or so, once a month? And the rest of you just not a lot of dreams, just kind of come by when they come by, sort of thing. Okay. Well, the thing that I think is the most important thing to recognize about dreams is that they represent a different side of life and a different side of perception and reality. Where we are all right now is kind of in this gross plane, or this material plane. And by gross, I just mean very kind of surface level material, very burning surface of the ocean sort of thing. And what appears here is not necessarily all that it seems, right? There are many things that we're engaged in our day-to-day lives that we may not recognize what the source is coming from. And so we live very much in a materialist paradigm, something that lives kind of up here on the surface level. And down below, there is another kind of logic, another kind of being, and another kind of perception. And so that kind of perception is what I try to drive at with how I approach dreams, is that they are sacred realities unto themselves. They're something that we can walk around in, and they represent this kind of mirror to us. They are going to show us very intentionally and very accurately, essentially, who and what we are and what is playing out in our lives. And as the nature of it goes, like very unconsciously to us. So that's what I can say off the bat there, Martin. I'm not sure where you want me to go from there.
Well, let's just start, I guess. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my experience, I suppose, and then maybe you can derive some things out. So, for And just to resurvey the room, there's a few of you that dream regularly, but how many of you would consider yourself a lucid dreamer? How many of y'all are actually active, swimming around in there? How many of y'all want to? Hopefully all of you that are here, that's why you're sitting. Cool. So, my last nightmare was my first lucid dream. I was 8 years old. But beforehand, I was always kind of floating in the void, as I call it. It was just this infinite, vast space, and it would terrify me. I'd wake up in night terrors. As far as I can remember as a baby, I was raised by my grandma until I was about 6 years old, and she'd see that. She'd see me like, freaking out. But she kind of knew what I was doing. She knew, she could see, she could also do the same. And she'd just be like, oh, and my mom would be like, what's going on? She'd be like, oh, mijo, he sees. I didn't know what that meant. I kind of know a lot more now about what that means, but that's a different conversation for another day. So that last nightmare, I was in the backyard of my house. It was pitch black, and in the corner, the very back of the backyard, and zombies were coming out of the ground like, but it's just kind of like comical, like, it's all shoulders, they can't even like grab me and stuff. But I was scared for a little bit until I realized I really wasn't breathing. I was like, wait a second, is this real? Oh, it's not. Oh, it's not. Oh. And it was spiritual, like, I hopped on all their heads, ran inside, locked the door, and I woke up. What was that? I didn't get a handle on it until I was about 13 years old. I saw the movie Vanilla Sky with Tom and Penelope Cruz. Remember that movie? Remember that one? Yeah, so the company. Again, spoiler alert, he died. You haven't seen the movie in 20 years, it's on you. But the point of it is, that really what dove into it. So there was a book I got, and I encourage all of you to maybe get it. You can look it up. It's called Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming by Stephen LaBerge. It's this French dream psychologist. I don't know if you're familiar with him. But he literally wrote the book. It's a little outdated in terms of its language. It's very esoteric, but it dives in with some practical advice. So what I'm going to be giving you today is pretty much an abridged version of that. But that's kind of where I started with. As I got older, I could start really manipulating dreams. I could really start diving in very deeply into layers upon layers of my subconscious. In many cases, I'd wake up and I'm still in the dream, and I'd be sleeping for way too long. I worked in bars in college, and on Tuesday I'd be sleeping 13, 14, 16 hours at a time catching up, and I'd be in a dream for what felt like 3 weeks. I don't encourage that. You can get a little lost in it too much, but from just me saying that as more of the naturalist, kind of how do you find people encountering their dreams, especially as they are cresting over into the lucid state, and also maybe go into some of the the biochemical things that are going on in the brain as we are achieving that state while we're in sleep, REM state, those kind of things. I know JJ talked about brainwave patterns, etc.
Right, well, I'm not terribly familiar with the neurophysiology of dreams. I know that there's a theta state that's involved that's very associative, and that is kind of indicative of the fact that you're in the subtle realm, or in that mode of perception in which you're seeing kind of the underpinnings of manifest reality and material reality. But as far as how people encounter them, I find that the way that most people encounter them is that they don't at the beginning. They're very, kind of off to the center, or they rarely remember their dreams. And there's this kind of like knock on the door at some point that will happen. There's, there will be a dream that kind of pokes through that will make you fascinated, or there will be somebody that kind of turns you on to dreaming in general, and then you'll get fascinated with it. Then you'll have a dream that will fascinate you, that will kind of just bring out this intrinsicness in you. And what I found from it, and that's kind of one of the interesting things, I suppose you could say, between lucid dreaming and between, say, the way that Jung would work with dreams. I say Jung in particular, not because Jungians, or the people that follow Jung, can kind of dilute the message, as often happens with leaders like that. But in that kind of dream work, it's not necessarily to take control of the situation and to manifest whatever. I've only become lucid on 2 occasions in my life, and on each occasion, what was happening in the dream was already so, magnificent and fascinating that I had to just kind of become an active participant in it, which is exactly the same thing. It's you're just kind of following where the dream is leading you. I don't really have those experiences, just being able to become so present and so aware that whatever you desire or whatever scenario you want to be in is manifesting. But as far as that helping you to get to a lucid state, because you won't be able to get lucid right off the bat. It takes practice. I would say, things like yoga nidra really help trying to strengthen and solidify your awareness into sleep states. Because that's really the name of the game, is like the broadening of your awareness, is to take it from the ego consciousness that we're normally at, and then be able to kind of endure or have more subject permanence into the dream realm, into the subtle realm, and then the causal realm beneath that, which is where dreamless sleep happens. So it's kind of that void that you're talking about, where there's just emptiness and it feels like there's nothing. But what the dreams are going to be showing to you, if you're not yet lucid, is the parts of yourself which you are unconscious to. And those are going to be, things about yourself that you keep in repression, that you don't want to know about yourself. There are things about yourself that are going to unfold, who you're going to become, that sort of thing. And all of these figures and all of these characters and all these energies are to be met, especially the ones that we have the most visceral reactions to, whether that is a sense of awe or joy, or whether that's a sense of putridity and disgust. Those ones in particular, because those are the ones that we most really try to distance ourselves from. And so that's what I would say about, since you aren't going to be waking up quite yet in your dreams, there's kind of figures that you can interact with and bring into your waking life. That's the whole idea, is that we're trying to bridge from this state where we are to the things that are happening within us. That's the idea behind all perennial philosophy, right? In the sacred tradition is that if you're trying to find an answer out here, you're going to continually find yourself confused and defeated, essentially. And if you look within and look at the lens through which you're looking, then you have a better shot about accomplishing not even about accomplishing, but becoming who you need to be to interface with this very wild, large, wacky world. So I can speak on that in that sense of what are we meeting in there.
No, that's profound. So let's talk. I'm going to walk y'all through this, and then I think Mike can have some thoughts on this too. So for those that are here, I'm going to start teaching you. And I've always been able to do this in a very conversational tone. However, one of the first presentations I ever gave in high school, it was a speech class, was this topic. So I've had experience giving it before. It's just been a while. So again, if we're boiling down Stephen LaBerge's work, it starts with just recall and action, okay? Recall and action. The action being intention setting, and then further action once you're there. So what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. Grab one of those dream journals if you don't have one, or just have a journal. We got dream journals on that. But I would say this, it's in a practical practice setting. Michael mentioned it, JJ mentioned it. It's going to take practice, but in about a month, on average, the way I've seen it, you can do this. All of you can do this. It's totally possible. Even for those of you who say I don't dream, it's possible. Some people say they don't dream, and I think you might have thoughts on that too, in the certain states of mind. But you are dreaming. You're just not remembering it. Typically, when you wake up, within 5 to 10 seconds of waking up, you've lost your dream. All right, so we're going to start there. For all of you that say you don't dream, or you struggle with remembering your dreams, all that's left after those 5 to 10 seconds is a feeling. It's just a feeling. So you write that down. As soon as you wake up, write that down. Whatever that feeling is. Is it joy? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it arousal? Whatever it is. Because in many cases, powerful dreams will carry with you throughout the day. You don't know why. You don't know why. This prevailing feeling is just overwhelming you throughout the better part of that morning or afternoon, or whenever you woke up, whenever you had that dream. So start there, right? And within about a week, it's no longer a feeling. It might be a word on top of the feeling. It might be warmth, right? Lightness, something. Inevitably, you start writing those things down. It's colors, it's smells, it's shapes, it's people. Doesn't really make too much sense, but you have to start with the feeling, right? Start with that feeling and you build sentences. What happens is you start building longer recall. You can remember more of that dream past the 5 to 10 seconds. Past the 5 to 10 seconds. So now it's not just warmth, yellow, springtime, grandma. I'm at H-E-B on a Sunday afternoon with my grandmother and we're shopping in the produce aisle. That can happen over the course of just a few weeks, right? You will have pattern recognition throughout your dreams. In many places, you'll start in the same place. You might start in that grocery store. I have this construct in my head now. It's not the void anymore, I call it the expanse. I have built within the void all of this stuff that I return to. I'm in the same shopping mall, just further down the way, but it's a construct of the old shopping mall I used to go to with my grandma when I was a boy. Same goes for the grocery store, the church, or the airport, or the movie theater. It's all connected. There's a familiarity that's involved with it. So I'm getting a little too deep, but when you start with that feeling, you start with that recall, you start to build sentences, you start to build patterns, you start to build memory. So now that you have this body of pattern recognition over the course of, say, a month, you can do this next phase. So before you go to bed every night, start tonight if you want. Set some simple intentions. We're the kind of group, I think, that y'all know about intention setting. So simple intention setting. Tonight I will dream. You don't have to say I'm going to be lucid yet, but say tonight I will dream and I will remember it. And that's a simple way for you to go from just feeling to sentence a lot faster. Because now the last thing you go to sleep with, that intention, is to be aware of the dreams and to have your memory pull them from you as it's happening. So when you wake up the next day, the last thing you went to sleep with is that. So you start thinking a little bit more intensively, consciously about those dreams. You're not there yet. You're not at lucidity yet. One of you might tilt over, but what'll happen is, I used to joke, maybe I was that nerd in high school, right? You're about to kiss the cheerleader under the bleachers. It's like, it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. Lips. Oh, you wake up before it happens. Because that's going to happen to you in some weird way, shape, or form. You're going to be like, this is too good to be. Wake up. Then you wake up. With enough pattern recognition, with enough recall, then you can apply these next layer of techniques. So you can set the intention that you're going to dream. You started to build patterns of, like, I'm going to recognize when I'm in the grocery store with my grandma, or, blanking out, giving the speech, in the presentation in class, because that happens too. How many of y'all, when y'all went to school, like, worried about being late for the test, or not knowing what to say at the test, or blanking on stage? Usually, again, things that pull you are anxieties. The things you feel inadequate about, the things that keep you up at night, end up being a dream. So once you've built all of this, you understand, you've seen enough patterns, you know enough settings, you get into the next phase. So you don't wake up right at the moment of lucidity. What's going to happen is you start to question that reality you find yourself in. You start asking, is this real? Am I dreaming? And what's going to allow you to not immediately wake up is the following. You start doing reality checks. Now I'm going to keep pointing to movies. Have y'all seen the movie Waking Life? Richard Linklater, legendary Richard Linklater. Okay, cool. So there's a scene, it's a practical one. Stephen LaBerge talks about this too, but they mention it as well. Reality checks are important to help you understand, is this reality? Is this real? So go and find a light switch and flip it on and off. It's not connected to anything, there's no wires, so it shouldn't work. right? Go open a book. Go stare at a clock. Your imagination has all these instabilities that it may be like this profound sentence you read, or 6:15 on the clock, but your brain can't keep it steady. Can't keep it steady, so it's going to change. It's going to morph. The words are going to change. The words might even be there anymore. Good question.
Well, I found that the better you get at it, the more solid the text becomes. So at some point the clock actually stays the same.
Oh, yeah.
And you need a different reality.
Yeah, but again, you're not there yet. So the reality checks are critical, right? Again, like in some places in the expanse for me, yes, the lights turn on when I flip the switch, but they won't for you in the beginning. So look for something that's going to ground you to that. Again, let's point to more movies. Movie Inception, right? They have things like totems. I sometimes have totems in my dreams. Things I have like everyday carry that stuff just in my pockets all the time, and that'll be helpful. Now I've dove deep into dreams. And I've woken up, gone to the bathroom, taken the dog out, had a glass of water, and gone right back into the dream because I forgot my totem. And I'm looking for it. My projections, or I think they're projections, are like, oh, you're back. I'm like, yeah, I forgot this. All right, I'll see you later. And I'm gone. Dreams are fun. So you start doing these reality checks. You start looking for the things that you normally would have in these moments. And you have this aha state. This aha state that's like, holy shit. I'm dreaming, and you hold. I can't tell you exactly what that feels like until you feel it, but this is where you can really convert over. And if you've done enough reality checks, you've already done the majority of the work to not wake up immediately. But you'll feel this weird rush and this weird opening and a quietness. And if you can maintain that, which you will, again, once you set the intention of not only am I going to dream because you've gotten good at that, now it says I'm going to know that I'm dreaming while I'm in the dream. That's the next phase. Don't do that immediately. Don't try that tonight. But maybe like in a month after you start to identify patterns, smells, tastes, things. When I was younger, it'd be this back molar that would come out of my mouth. How many of y'all ever lost teeth in dreams? All right, we got some over here. Yeah, a lot of people. It's a very common thing. Transcends language, time, culture, history. It's just something we all have for the most part. So when you lose it, that's always a good recall too. I don't even have this molar anymore, so I don't have that dream anymore. But that would always be an indicator. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, here we go. Throw it out, go run out the window, fly somewhere. I'm not going to teach you all the fun stuff to do. I'm just teaching you how to get there. So now you've crossed over. Now what? Many people like to fly. Many people like to do whatever they want to do, but you have to start building from there. And that's it. That's really it. I can teach you that very quickly, the mechanics of how to lucid dream. But it's up to you to go into whatever dream that it is and explore, maintain. If you fly too far. There's only so much your brain has created, so it gets really dark, kind of gets scary, back in the void, and just like, try to maintain a certain distance in terms of flying. Don't fly too far. I know I went a lot there, but what did you glean out of that? Anything that you've seen practical out of that piece, or maybe out of your own lucid experiences that gave you like, oh, okay, yeah, I was on something.
No, I mean that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of how you wake up and dream. I could just say that one thing on the reality checks is that it's hard to. Awareness is tricky. It's really it's slippery and subtle, right? So in terms of like reality checks, you also want to like kind of actively practice those and develop them as a habit, essentially, to where it does become unconscious. That's literally something kind of sinking into your subtle body, if you want to think of it that way, or sinking into that realm. And so you will just kind of out of habit, like check your watch is one of the common ones, or check your clock. I like to look at my hands. It's an old Carlos Castaneda one. And jumping is really fun and effective too. That one's kind of hard because then you just have to jump at random times throughout the day. But it's the same with any of these things. And then of course, if you jump, you'll kind of either float or start to fly and realize that you're in the dream. So practical, I guess it's just what happens. What happens once you start to wake up in your dreams, and what kind of experience you end up either tailoring for yourself, or as happened with me, there's usually something that is opening up within me. I'll describe this. This was a dream that I had a number of years ago, and it was pretty desolate. It was like in the middle of a city that was post-apocalyptic, buildings torn apart, all that sort of thing. And right in the middle of all of this ruin, there's this giant cauldron of soup, mulligatawny soup from the soup peddler, as luck would have it. And I go to get a cup of this soup for my then partner at the time. And then I look behind me and I see this this great big building, I guess you could call it. It's looks kind of like an old church, but it's not an old church. Has a kind of long tower and then like a bell house attached. And so this is literally just walking around in the literally in the realm of the psyche. And so I just knew at this moment this is where I became lucid once the building had appeared. That's the other thing, a lot of inimical things are going to pop up in your dreams. Those are always good opportunities, but funny enough, we generally don't realize when those things are happening, right? It could be that a bear is chasing you, or it could be that you as a bear is chasing a salmon, or your dog is wearing a funny hat. We usually just kind of roll with that, roll with that shit once it happens. We're like, oh yeah, that's totally happening, right? Like this is real. Nothing to see here. We often just kind of go along with the dream. But anyway, so I became lucid at this moment, and I start walking up these stairs, and I know that I have to keep walking up the stairs. And again, this is be gentle. This is my psyche. But I'm walking up the stairs, and there's this room to the right, and it's absolutely immaculate. And there is my mother as an angel, just kind of walking about in this immaculate room, very, very clean, very orderly, everything like that, right? And then I keep walking up the staircase. It spirals. It's dark, and up there is a kind of like crummy, dilapidated old man. It's called like a Senex figure in psychology, an old man of the psyche. And him and I just had a conversation, and it was a very kind of like intense conversation, but not in the way that it was like, aggressive or something like that, but just very, very real, very heart to heart, and very, kind of speaking from self to self. This is a piece of my psyche. Whenever I'm working dreams, there's always this aspect of everything in the dream is you. I find that's a very important rule to have, because it really kind of eclipses or starts to break our individual patterns of identification and kind of undo this loop of identification that we're often caught in. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of things that we tend not to identify as, especially in our dreams. And there's a lot of things that we tend not to identify out here in waking life. We tend to create these very stark divisions between who we are and how we exist in the world and things like that. And so you can't be too literally minded about any of these things. Everything in the dream is you is kind of a callback to that source of consciousness, what each of us truly is in the final analysis, and how that kind of infinite oneness is embodied uniquely within each individual. And so characters like that, they have these kind of these healthy and unhealthy forms. The unhealthy form is just being when you're very kind of cut off from them, and they're in your unconscious, and they're in your shadow. This man, who I call REVERIE, he's a figure of my own psyche, he was, you tend to see them transform, but when I first met him, he was very kind of like, like wispy hair and like kind of gross looking, right, and terrifying. And they start to change and transform and turn into more, I wouldn't say beatific figures, but figures that are more, in a sense, kind of guiding you along a path. There's always this guidance along a path, but until we have that moment of awareness and where we start to really communicate with these parts of ourselves that we're not accustomed to being with, I find that to be the first most important application, and the second application just to deepening whatever spiritual practice that you have within your dream. So if you're very into contemplation, contemplation and meditation of like, you know, kind of setting up your monk cell or, you know, your meditation practice, you know, sit on a lotus out in space, have a waterfall behind you, you know, kind of constellate these things, really use your awareness to that benefit, really kind of give yourself things to hold, things to be. I don't know if I delivered anything practical from any of that, but I'll give it back to you.
Well, dreams are inherently impractical. But it's how we interpret them, what they mean to us, and also for the sake of this conversation, actually remembering them and applying them to whatever it is you're going on in your daily life. So, you know, I want to get in summary because I want to shift into the final creative stuff. Because now we've got the juices flowing, got your brains going, and I want to make sure that our creative arts facilitators have ample time to engage with you all too. So thank you all for listening, and I hope this is something that's going to keep it going. I want people to follow up with you too, so we'll ask you just some things to follow up, and I'm sure you're going to come up to them going, I got some things for you. And ideally you meet some people here you don't know and talk about dreams. Hopefully everybody's talked about dreams by the end of it. It's one of the easiest ways to get to know somebody. I love asking that question. What was the last dream you had? But for me, you talked about the oneness. That's how I perceive dreams. I perceive dreams as us kind of uploading our consciousness back into one. So you may run into people that you think are imaginary figures, but they may not be. I've met people in my dreams that I've gotten to know now recently. There are people that I've met in my dreams that I've yet to meet, but we've had that conversation that we'll meet again, we'll meet soon. Then there's certainly people that just aren't. The more you spend time in it, but you also have to remember the waking life is more important sometimes, most of the time, all the time. The dream state can help you navigate it. So use it as a tool. Be cognizant of the things that are going on in your waking life and how it affects your dreams. Stress can affect your dreams tremendously. Worry, fear, love. It can do a lot. But the things that you encounter, journaling can be really helpful with recognizing the patterns, preempting things, but also tuning you with other people. When you're connecting back into that one, I've had moments where I encounter somebody in my dreams, somebody I care about, somebody I've yet to meet, or somebody that I just met, and they give me a call the next day. Or I'm just like, ooh, they're in my head right now, I should check on them. And they wanted me to. It's profound, it's deep, it's powerful. I don't know what that means. I don't think I ever will, I don't think anybody ever will. But you have to ask yourself what it means to you. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you all again for listening. Michael, just really quick, how can people follow up with you? I'm sure you're gonna get swarmed here with other questions and everything, but what's a good way for people to get in touch, and maybe anything else you might be able to offer for folks in terms of helping them with dreams?
Sure, absolutely. So, kind of what I was talking about interesting here, I talk a lot about dreams and Western esoteric tradition on the gram and on my website, which you can find through there, but I'm at Michael Edit Flow on there. So that's the best way to find me, and of course, just you can come up to me here while I'm still here at the event. I run a psychotherapeutic practice here in West Austin, and yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Martin.
Thank you, everybody. Clap, clap, clap. All right. Okay, so now, here's what we're gonna do. I had an idea while we were chatting. I was thinking about how's the best way to kind of get this room situated. So here's what we're gonna do, Katie, and I'm gonna tell Megan the same thing. Because everybody's so loungy, we're gonna pull the tables out and leave them on the floor. And then we're gonna wrap all of the cushy stuffs around the tables. So we're gonna make art on the floor. Keep everybody grounded. That sound cool? All right, so if y'all could help me, please give it up for Katie Ward. She's gonna be one of our facilitators for the next round of drawing. So if y'all could do me a solid, let's create a perimeter. And we're gonna start pulling tables. We're gonna get this stuff on the ground, and y'all can sit continually back on the ground, but we should get this done by the next 15. Thank you all, and please stick around. Definitely get maybe into your sauna gear too here soon, because we're gonna start Sunset Spins in the garden.